Hello, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode. We're here at Sophis Productions, and today we're going to discuss an amazing topic. This story about Noah's Ark, these stone tablets that were found 5,000 years after they were made. They were the Sumerian tablets, and they told of this Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a story that is so fascinating. We want to take into account the religious aspects as well. What does Christianity, what does Judaism, what does Islam? Just a second. Yeah. What these ancient tablets were saying about our history as human beings, and what everybody is like, what's in the epic Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch was discovered in the 1900s by this great archaeologist, and he went to Ethiopia. He wanted to find where the Nile River started from, and this is such an amazing story. There he found the Book of Enoch, which by some religions is considered something as a wrong book or a sinful book, but that book tells a lot about these mythical stories and these mythical people. And we're going to talk about the Watchers. We're going to talk about the Nephilim. So who were the Watchers? The Watchers were fallen angel according to some text, but according to Islam, the Watchers were the jinn. And there was a time in this world, how amazing is that the jinns had children with the human, and those were called the Nephilim. They were super strong, they were tall, and they were too strong, and they believed that nothing could beat them. And because they were so proud, God sent like this big cataclysmic flood that wiped them completely off the face of earth. And for everybody who's watching, Sana is here. Sana is here early today. Felt like Wali Wonders was on a secret mission. Fans kept refreshing YouTube every day. So yeah, we've not been doing these live streams for like the past 2-3 days. We were busy with some shoots. And now we're here back with a banger episode just for you guys. And today we're going to dive deep into the mysteries. There's so much things that I need to tell you guys. And it's such a fascinating story. Actually, it's not just one story. It's a collection of stories from different scriptures, from different time. And honestly, if the same story repeats in like cultures and civilizations that were far apart, like there was this Mayan civilization, there was this Indian civilization, and both of them have similar stories about the Great Flood, about the people who lived at that time, and about the people who came after, and how did humanity reset and relaunch. And I mean, once you'll hear all these things, you'll be just totally fascinated, because this is like some next level stuff. So without further ado, let's quickly go into the first video, and then we'll go to a few comments.
Repent or feel God's wrath. They ignored his warning. The floodgates of heaven burst forth, and water rushed over the earth, destroying everything. The only thing to survive is a single vessel, a huge ship, the Ark. 5 months later, the waters recede, and the Ark made ground on a mountaintop. A man named Noah emerged, and civilization began again. Some version of the Noah's Ark story exists in almost every religion and every culture on Earth. But did Noah and the Ark really exist? Well, there's evidence that they did. So much evidence that it was classified by the CIA for almost 50 years. But why classify it? Well, there are two problems with the Noah's Ark story. One, the Ark is much older than anyone thought. And two, the man named Noah, he wasn't a man. At least, not a man from Earth.
So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people. for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth.
But the Book of Enoch tells it a little differently. First, it's Uriel who tells Noah about the flood, not God. And the intention of the flood is not to destroy all humans. According to the Book of Enoch, the primary targets of the Great Flood are the fallen angels known as Watchers and their human hybrid offspring, the Nephilim. Most humans will also die, but this is considered necessary collateral damage. It's the only way to reset creation and wipe the slate clean. If some humans survive, great. If they don't, it doesn't matter. Only Noah matters. Noah was given specific instructions on how to build the ark and survive.
So yes, I just gave you this little introduction, 2 videos that I showed you just, and they're explaining the story of the Noah's Ark. And how amazing is that? What happens is that there is this, Noah himself has this dream of a great cataclysm, a flood, according to the Book of Enoch and some other sources. And according to Islam, Noah doesn't have like a dream, but the other people that are at that time, those are the Nephilim. The Nephilim are like not humans exactly. They're a mix of some fallen angels who have come to earth. And now these fallen angels make babies with humans. And they create this race that is called the Nephilim. And the Nephilim, at their end, they see this dream again and again. They see this worst nightmare and worst thing, that there's going to be this great flood, which is totally going to wipe them out. And the Nephilims come to Noah and they ask Noah, because even before Noah became a prophet, he used to worship Allah and he was widely recognized. And that is another story, that even Noah was like 900 years old. And according to some ancient text, these people were like 40 meters high. So imagine the scale. And it's also mentioned that these creatures created these big megalithic structures, like when you see the Pyramid of Giza, and when you see the Stonehenge, and when you see the Mayans, you can clearly see that these stones that are used to build these megalithic structures can be like 70 tons. And it's just one thing to carry them from one place to another. But these stones are put together like a puzzle. And with this puzzle, it's like you need to exactly get each stone right in its place, because the blocks are not uniform. If there's a block that is cut and the next block that is going to be put next to that block, they both need to have the exact alignment. And some of these rocks are so close together that you can't even put like a paper between the rocks, because some people say that these ancient people had like some great knowledge, like some drills or some laser cutting technology that could really cut through rock like anything. And when you look at the ancient Egypt, and it's what do they call that? People who they made these statues that were like amazing statues. They had the most precision ever, and they're made of granite on the scale of hardness. Granite tops that scale. I mean, granite might be like 8.5, and diamond would be like 9.5, and they are cutting granite stones in such perfection that they exactly have the symmetry right. The left of the face looks exactly as the right of the face, and between the toes and between the fingers and between each muscle, there is definition, which is so difficult that even today, if you want to cut stones like that, you probably might need heavy machines like industrial machines. And sometimes with these machines that are available in 2025, you can't get that sort of precision, because that is like nanometer precision that these guys were giving. So with that, let's go to a few comments. So Sanali says, looks like today's recording is something amazing. We've been waiting for it, even after all these days. Thank you, Sana. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all. I missed you guys. Honestly, I missed all my fans and all the people who usually watch my live streams. And I missed you guys, missed talking to you. And thank you for being here, Sana. It means a lot. And thank you for all of the viewers. Please do like, share, and subscribe this live stream, because that's like a free way to support our channel. And that's it helps us a lot. And obviously, we love every bit of these streams. Especially I am always delighted to be sitting in this chair, talking to you guys about these ancient mysteries. And today, we have the most banger mystery of all time, and it's going to just blow your mind away. So with that, let's watch another video about the Watchers.
As the Watchers. Typically, angels are considered spiritual beings, but in the Book of Enoch, the Watchers are physical entities. They're described as large humanoids, some with wings, and they radiate so much light that it's difficult to look directly at them. The Watchers taught humans how to cultivate crops and create pottery. They taught humans about medicine and curing illness. The Watchers taught humans about astronomy and astrology. In ancient Sumerian texts, which Enoch is probably based on, 300 beings are sent to Earth from palaces in the sky. These beings are called the Observers. They too help humanity take a great leap forward. We see this story in ancient cultures all over the world. Advanced beings come down from the sky and bring humanity the gift of civilization. In the Book of Enoch, the Watchers helped humanity advance quickly and civilization spread. But the Watchers became vain and proud. They were instructed by God to withhold certain knowledge from man. The Watchers ignored these instructions. The Watchers taught men how to create new metals for weapons. They taught men how to harness fire and wage war. They taught women witchcraft and alchemy. The Watchers revealed the secrets of the heavens and changed the course of human development. Then the Watchers became lustful. Then they started taking human women as wives for themselves.
And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Enoch chapter 6, verse 1.
So this comes from the Book of Enoch, and I'll tell you what the Book of Enoch is, because the Book of Enoch is in itself is like such an interesting story. So the Watchers are like the fallen angels. According to Islam, there's Harut and Marut. Harut and Marut were two angels who came to this earth because there are a lot of jinns. Now, this is also a great concept that we today, something like a ghost, Islam considers that as jinn. And in today's 21st century, we don't really believe in the supernatural and the jinns. And actually, there's a lot of supernatural activity going around us. And since like the discovery of cameras and sound recording devices and other observation devices, now we see a large amount of these paranormal activities that are happening. And even I even said this before, that even when I'm sitting in the studio space, I might have a lot of jinns circling around me, and that is according to our religion, because even Satan, Shaitan, has like billions of jinns who follow him, who are there for his own commandments, and who are hell-bent to destroying the humanity. And it is also said that for every person that lives, there's at least one Shaitan who is misguiding us. And jinns are different from angels, because angels, who are the angels? Angels are the perfect beings. There's some angels that have been standing in the same place, in the same position since the beginning of the universe, and they're talking about God, Allah, and they're praying since eternity, and that's their purpose. Angels might be some sort of a super intelligence, like we could say that we create an AI which is super intelligent and which knows everything and which will do everything right. And those are the angels. And who are the humans? Actually, this is like an interesting thing. Why are the humans considered better than all the angels? Because of this fact that humans have free will. And angels, they cannot sin, but humans can sin. And that's what God, basically, in Islamic text, who is Shaitan? Shaitan was a jinn that was the most devoted jinn of all time. He was praying to God 24/7. When he went to worship, he went to worship for centuries and centuries, and he was so in love with God. But when God created humans, and that is such an interesting story, that Iblis, Shaitan, thought that this world is, these people are not as good as him, because he can spend so much time praying to God, and he could spend so much time, and he had so much power, immense power, that he could exert around the universe. And this feeble human who was made of sand, who God sent to Earth in a little planet in the universe, and it's just like from a trillion planets just in our galaxy, trillion stars in just our galaxy, we're just in around one star, one planet, and this the whole universe. So God sent these humans who were made of flesh and bones, and God made us in such a way that we are better than the angels, who are not fallible, who are the best sort of, most intelligent sort of creatures that exist. And it's so fascinating, because maybe free will is something that is greater than the biggest power in the world, because we can choose our path. We can choose to do the wrong things and the right things. And that really changes the perspective. So I was talking about Harut and Marut, and according to Islam, these two angels came because the jinns, all the jinns were involved in harming the people, and there was jinns used to do all these spells on people, and people were really fed up at that time. And then Harut and Marut, God drops them from the heaven to teach men how to control these jinns, how to get these humans back to functioning society, through a functioning civilization. And these Harut and Marut, or the Watchers, they teach humans about alchemy, witchcraft, about this ancient knowledge. And you know, what is magic? Magic, if you take like a cell phone back in the Stone Age, and you show a person the functionality of the cell phone, he would consider that as magic, because something that is so advanced in technology, people obviously who cannot understand it would consider it as magic. So these angels were teaching the humans about magic, some knowledge. They were giving the humans some knowledge that is comparable to magic, because people couldn't fathom their mind around how these jinns could like alter matter with their knowledge, with alter You know how this, it's written in some scriptures that when the ancients were making these megalithic structures, they used harmonic frequencies to levitate the stones. And now that we know that each element on the element table has a harmonic frequency that is related, at this harmonic frequency, this element starts to vibrate. And it goes same for all the universe that we see around us, because we are in like this small perspective. We're in this small place in the universe. We can't really see and experience the whole universe. The 90% of the universe is hidden from us. Why? That is like a really interesting question, because just like the Higgs boson that was recently discovered through this what do you call it? Large Hadron Collider. They speed up these little particles almost 99.9% at the speed of light. And when these particles collide, they found this thing called the Higgs boson. Because fundamentally, the elements, the atoms, and the nucleus have no mass. So where do they get mass? Where does gravity come from? Because gravity is also like the biggest mystery that humans have perceived, and we can't really the problem with gravity is like one of the biggest problems in physics. And so what I'm trying to say is, the point that I was trying to tell you is that we are in the Higgs field. When the atoms or the electrons go in a circle, they go through this Higgs field, which gives them mass. And it's because we're only in this frequency that we can only experience this sort of universe. There might be more forces in nature. There might be more forces in the universe. There might be some matter that is there, but we can't really see it. And why is that? Because might be going with too much detail on this, but because we are only in a certain harmonic frequency of this universe. If God would open the whole universe to us, we would see so many intelligent creatures of different kinds. And it's like when you are looking at me, 99% of my atoms are empty spaces. So if the atoms that I'm made of is 99% empty spaces, so why do you see a whole guy? And how does this is like such a fascinating mystery. But without further ado, let's just read a few comments as well before we get into the spicy details. So who is here? Asma is saying, hi, Wali Wonders, Nephilim, and the Watchers. Sorry, let's go to the early comments. So Israr says, hello, dear sir. If a global flood happens, why don't high altitude animals show any genetic reset? And that is like an interesting question. Does Fuzzy mean that the flood wasn't that high enough that it didn't reach the biggest mountains? Yes. According to the ancient text and according to the flood mystery, not all of the world was under that flood. But there was this rain. God, according to Islam, God made rain for day and night for 40 days. And rain also came from the ground. Now, I just want to show you this footage from this movie that is 1912, and it is 2012, and it came a few years ago, and it shows you such a devastating scene about this water, this wave of water that is coming over the mountain. And the wave of water is so much. It's like hundreds and hundreds of feet above the sea level, and it just decimates the whole world. So let me show you that scene so you can probably understand the ancient stories. So let's just look at this scene. So this is the water that is coming, and the water is coming over the mountain. And there's this monk who is actually in a monastery above everything else. Let's just watch it again. So this monk is standing and he's praying to God, and there's this flood coming, and most of the world is destroyed. And he is on the top of something like Mount Everest or something, and he sees this wave of flood that is coming. And it is so huge, and it engulfs this person and it takes him away. And that is also the story, which is a very interesting story I want to talk about, Noah's wife and son. So Noah's son was a disbeliever. According to Islamic texts, we'll go to other texts as well, and Noah's son was actually a disbeliever, and Noah's wife was actually a disbeliever as well. And Noah was preaching God for like centuries and centuries, and no one was accepting Islam. No one was taking the message of God in a serious way. So God said that these people are not worth it. And Noah, I'm going to send a flood to reset this society, because these people, although they were disbelievers, but they were so powerful and they were so intelligent. And imagine that some ancient civilizations, because humans have been in this cycle of destruction and then rebuilding of society since the dawn of civilization. And imagine if there were some ancient civilizations who were more technologically advanced than the humans that exist today in this day and age. How would these civilizations be? Imagine these civilizations doing telepathy. Imagine these civilizations having infinite energy supply, like the Great Pyramid, or a nuclear fusion, a nuclear power plant. Or, I'll show you the circle of life. Now, the circle of life, or there's this theory about this universe, that we live in a holographic universe, that each atom in this universe might have a representation of the whole universe, because it's like a fascinating story. This symbol that I'm about to show you is a symbol that is carved in many megalithic structures, even in the ancient Egyptian pyramids, and even in the Mayan civilization. So this image does not only represent the double helix. It doesn't just explain the holographic universe. This symbol is like if there was an explanation of intelligence about life, about this universe, this image could symbolize, really symbolize how the equation or the universe or the atoms came into being. So let's just quickly watch this video.
Image of a flower of life. These two engravings, created with such precision, were somehow left upon the stone. We recently covered the claims made by John Anthony West regarding the water controversy of the Great Sphinx, relating to its theory of it once being a lion, aligned with Leo some 10,000 years ago. We uncovered overwhelming evidence which West must have been aware of to prove his theory not only untrue, but seemingly conspiratorial. What's peculiar regarding the actual connections with the flower, if of course authentic, is that other researchers such as Thrive maker Foster Gamble related it to the Taurus design, which he now believes is a signal from advanced beings on how to tap free, unlimited energy. A claim eerily reminiscent of our own recent research into a possible ark, regardless of others' hostile reception. We find his claims highly compelling.
So you just heard, I mean, it gives me goosebumps when looking at these footages and these videos and these pictures, and they just showed you this image of this symbol that is in many megalithic temples and civilizations across the world. And this image shows you the double helix. What is energy to us? Like if we had fossil fuels in the late 1800s, we started making steam engines and we were burning coal, and then we made combustion engines that were using petrol, and then finally in like 1950s, around 1940s and 50s, we discovered the nuclear energy. And nuclear energy was the final frontier, and that is the energy that comes when two atoms collide, or when an atom is destroyed. Because it's how do you destroy an atom? That is like a whole new topic. And fission and fusion were the last energy source discoveries. But when you look around the universe is, it seems like the universe is empty, but actually the universe is not empty at all. Even the emptiness of space, let's say that you travel, what is empty space? There's actually nothing as empty space. Let's say that I take a rocket ship and I move like thousands of kilometers away from this earth, and now in this place that I'm at, there is nothing. There's no atoms, there's no dust, there's nothing at all. It's completely empty. But now, with the latest research, we now know that empty space is not empty. Even when they put two metal plates together in complete emptiness in this universe, these two plates start to attract each other. And this force is some sort of a spooky action, which is like too hard and too difficult for humans to comprehend, because there's nothing over there. So where is this force coming from? Which means that the universe is not what we think it is, and the universe is not empty. It's even the emptiness has a lot of energy, and that is, researchers like Nassim Haramein have been saying that the next frontier is the frontier, the unlimited energy, and the most energy is in the quantum realm. It is a sort of energy that if we tap into what we're making these large hadron colliders, and we're accelerating particles like at the speed of light, and if we like really what is antimatter? Antimatter is a sort of matter which comes into contact with with the normal matter, and it explodes, and it gives this enormous amount of energy. And if humans were to ever like tap into this type of energy, it would be like the greatest discovery. I mean, a small amount of antimatter. Antimatter is the most like expensive thing that humans have created till this day, because even like a gram or even like a milligram is so hard to make. And antimatter, as soon as it touches any matter, it just completely vanishes. And that is what Nassim Haramein, this great physicist who looked at these patterns and who looked at the flower of life, it was like a message from ancient aliens or ancient people about how to tap into this unlimited energy. And that is like the point. Let's go to a few more videos because I'm getting too deep. So before we talk more about the sort of powers that these ancient civilizations have, let's talk about the Book of Enoch and its significance. So I'll show you a little video and then we'll go towards the Book of Enoch.
While thumbing through the stiff, dusty pages, Bruce came across the Book of Enoch. James Bruce knew Enoch as the great-grandfather of Noah. He was mentioned a few times in the Bible, but only in passing. Here was an entire book on Enoch, 108 chapters. Now James Bruce understood why the church wanted this book hidden. It described heaven not just as a spiritual place, but as a physical place that could be visited by men. That was heresy. No mortal man is able to visit heaven, and certainly not able to visit and return. But Enoch did, and he wrote down everything he saw. He didn't describe heaven as souls floating in the clouds playing harps. He describes it as a city in the sky with many different rooms with walls covered in gems of blinking lights and godlike beings going about their business.
So Asma Munir is saying, hi Wali Wonders, Nephilim and the Watchers, Hakikat kya hai? Thoughts. We're just going to talk about the Nephilims and the Watchers right after a few videos. So you've chosen a very interesting topic today. I really appreciate Wali Wonders. Thank you, Asma Munir. You are the best. You are always here supporting us, and thank you for commenting such nice comments. And we're going to blow all of our viewers, we're going to blow your minds, because we're going to talk about some really, really interesting facts. Wahab says hello. Wahab says, here to listen to brother today. Thank you. Sana Ali is saying, if Wali Wonders sees a fan comment, the fan reaction is, that's it, I'm getting the screenshot framed. Sana, we'll send you your screenshot as well. Sana is saying, love you. I'd love to be a part of the stream as a fan. You can probably understand the excitement and emotions we go through, just hoping to connect with you. Thank you, Sana. And yes, we can have live callers at our stream. So for the fans, maybe after a few streams, we'll set up this live thing that people can call us in and people can explain what they're thinking about these interesting topics. And really deep dive inside all these things. So Nadeem Butt is saying, hey, actually, when I received the link to your channel and saw it was explained, I felt interested because they're my favorite topics. I'm from Faisalabad, and this is the first time on the channel. So thank you, Nadeem from Faisalabad. We really appreciate you guys watching our live streams, and it's like a big pleasure just to be here talking about these ancient mysteries, these megalithic structures, about Noah. We have not even touched on the story of Noah, what Islam thinks about it, what Christianity thinks about the Great Flood, what the Book of Enoch, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and the Deep Sea Scrolls. And I mean, there's like so much forbidden, hidden knowledge that we are rediscovering today. And it just fascinates one. And we'll watch a few videos and then I'll further dive into this topic. So,
Noah. Lamech is worried that Noah is a watcher, or worse, Nephilim. Lamech seeks counsel from his father Methuselah. Also fearing the child could be a watcher, Methuselah prays to his own father, Enoch, who's been in heaven for many years. Enoch answers Methuselah. Not only was the shape of a ship found,
So
Noah is described as beautiful with bright glowing skin. And from the moment of birth, Noah can speak. Noah's father Lamech panics. Lamech had been away during the time Noah would have been conceived, so he knows the child isn't his. What's worse, Noah is radiating light. Lamech is worried that Noah is a watcher, or worse, Nephilim. Lamech seeks counsel from his father Methuselah. Also fearing the child could be a watcher, Methuselah prays to his own father, Enoch, who's been in heaven for many years. Enoch answers Methuselah.
So I just showed you this video about Noah, because Noah was born when his father was like away, and his father was not there to conceive the child, but her wife got pregnant and she came up with Noah. And when Noah was born, Noah could speak, and Noah's skin was like this vibrant, glowing skin which could light a dark room because he had some sort of a light coming from him. And when Noah was born, his father Lamech was really worried that it might not be his kid. And Noah, from the time he was born, Noah was like this special child. And God then told Lamech that no, this is God's doing, because today we have artificial insemination and God can do anything basically, but this story that we hear about Noah could be a story of these ancient people knowing about artificial insemination and about DNA, about how to this knowledge that is just open to us today, and how did the ancients know about, and how is it written in this text in the Book of Enoch. And I mean, it's a mystery. So let's watch another video and then I'll deep dive inside.
When the queen finally made it home, she learned that Solomon gave her one last gift, a son.
Ah, King Solomon the player.
Their son was Menelik I. When Menelik grew up, he returned to Jerusalem to meet his father. King Solomon was so happy to finally meet his son that he offered Menelik the throne. Menelik declined and chose to return home. But before Menelik left, some of his men stole the Ark of the Covenant and brought it back to Ethiopia. There's been a large Jewish population in Ethiopia ever since. According to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the Ark of the Covenant is still in Ethiopia. It's in the town Axum in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. And it's a great story, and if you want to hear it, I've linked it below.
So this is like this interesting fact that who was King Solomon? King Solomon was this guy. Now, the video that I showed you is talking about Menelik. And King Solomon, Menelik is the son of Solomon. And King Solomon is this ruler, is this prophet who controls the jinns, who controls the weather, who can talk to animals, who can actually talk to ants and understand what they're saying, and he can deliver his message to the ants as well. So what happens is Solomon and Queen of Sheba meet. And who is the Queen of Sheba? Queen of Sheba is this Ethiopian lady who is very wise, who has all the knowledge of the world. And she hears about King Solomon and his great powers, that King Solomon can really control the jinns, he can control the weather, he has powers that are above anything. And it's according to some traditions, who is the Queen of Sheba? Sheba she has the feet of the goat. So the jinns that are with Solomon at that time, they tell Solomon that Queen Sheba has the feet of a goat, or she has hairy feet, and it's because they don't want Solomon to fall in love with the Queen of Sheba. And it takes the Queen of Sheba a long time, like years, and she goes on this journey from Sheba to Solomon, who is in Palestine, modern day Palestine, or Jerusalem. And she travels, and when she comes to Solomon, Solomon knows that she's coming. So Solomon, at the temple of Solomon, he makes the floor of the temple in a glass, in a way that it seems like you are walking on water. So Queen Sheba enters, and Solomon just wants to confirm that Queen Sheba has hairy feet or not. So what does Solomon do? Queen Sheba comes, and she thinks that the floor is made of water. So she lifts her clothes up, and that's where King Solomon finds out about her legs. And then King Solomon has the special powers that he has these special powers. This is not according to religion. This is according to myth, that he cures Queen Sheba's legs and it makes her human feet again. And Queen Sheba, when she returns, she gives a lot of gifts to Solomon, and Solomon spends a lot of time with Queen Sheba. And when she returns, she finds out that she has Solomon's son. She's pregnant now, and Solomon's son is Menelik. Menelik is the emperor. Let me give you a little video so you can better understand about the Queen of Sheba. And
it's also in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Just a second, guys. Let me go to the video.
I know in some of the WikiLeaks stuff.
So, for all of you guys who just joined, we're just now.
What happened in the Epic of?
Are really deep, diving deep into this amazing topic about the Noah's Ark, about the Epic of Gilgamesh. About
the Book of Enoch may be telling the truth. We've been told that the.
Let me just find the video, because there's a lot of videos that I want to show you guys today. And the story is just out of this world. So let me just search the video. Queen Sheba.
Did you know King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba had a son? In the Kebra-Nagast, an ancient Ethiopian text, it says that King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba had a son named Menelik I. After visiting Solomon in Jerusalem, the queen returned to Ethiopia, unaware she was pregnant. She later gave birth to Menelik, who, when he grew up, traveled to Jerusalem to meet his father. Solomon welcomed him warmly and even wanted him to stay and rule Israel. But Menelik chose to return to Ethiopia, where he became its first emperor. Legend says that Menelik brought the Ark of the Covenant with him, establishing a sacred link between Israel and Ethiopia that remains a key part of Ethiopian tradition to this day. Comment, like, and subscribe for more. Did you know?
So I just showed you this nice little AI created clip which tells you about the story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And this, even back in the days, women had a lot of power, and this Queen of Sheba was like the greatest ruler. And when they had this kid was named Menelik. And Menelik came to Solomon, and Solomon, as soon as Solomon saw Menelik, he recognized that he was his own son. And Solomon was so happy that his son had returned to him, like he did this years of journey from Sheba to Jerusalem, and he came to Solomon and to his temple, and Solomon spent like so Menelik returns to King Solomon, and Menelik is like talking about Menelik when he's going away from King Solomon back to his land, to the land of Sheba, he takes the Ark of the Covenant with him. Now, the Ark of Covenant is this thing that radiates. I don't know what it radiates, but it is like some radiation that is coming from the Ark of Covenant, and it's mentioned that whoever possesses the Ark of Covenant has like this free unlimited energy, or has like this great power, and it could be some sort of a matter that is not known to humankind. But this Ark of Covenant was taken from Jerusalem to now modern-day Ethiopia by Menelik, and Menelik stored it in this monastery, which it's still, the Ark of Covenant is there. And it's said that the priest, there's a few priests that guard the Ark of the Covenant, and only one priest is allowed near the place where the Ark of Covenant is kept. And these priests are known to die in like just a few years, and they have signs of radiation poisoning all over their skin, and in their tests and in their DNA, they have the signs of radiation. So these monks, these priests have been taking care of the Ark of Covenant for like thousands of years. And that is where the story of the Book of Enoch comes in, which is a great story, because when archaeologists were hunting down where the Nile River comes from, they ended up in Ethiopia. And in Ethiopia, they found this monastery which had the Ark of the Covenant. And they also found this book called the Book of Enoch. Now, the Book of Enoch, according to Islam and according to Christianity and even Judaism, it's like a apocryphal book. And it's a nice way to say that it's not true, and it has all of the stories that are rewritten in a way that is untrue, which is they probably did some of their own imagination to put extra things in the story. But the Book of Enoch, there's a lot of stories that are related to Islam and Judaism and Christianity, and the stories don't have that much depth. But when you read the Book of Enoch, it has much more depth than all of the other books. And when you look at, they found this Book of Enoch in Ethiopia, and then they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then they found these other places as well. So this little kid who was farming his goats thought that his goat went into like a cave, and he threw a rock to get the goat out, and the rock hit like a vase, and the vase split open, and he could hear something break. So he went in and he found these Dead Sea Scrolls, which were like there for the preserved for like thousands and thousands of years. And these Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Enoch have the same story. Actually, the Book of Enoch has been found in many other places, the same book, like 7-8 other places, and it is the same book. So it has some sort of authenticity to it. Although, as if you're talking to a religious person, I might not believe all the things that are written in the Book of Enoch. But let's
in Abrahamic religions, souls of the righteous go to heaven after death. Maybe Jesus takes them by the hand, maybe they follow a loved one through the light, or maybe they just arrive there. This is not what happens to Enoch. Like Elijah, Enoch is physically taken to heaven and writes down everything he sees. He doesn't write this from memory. He's literally walking around with Uriel writing things down. He was instructed to do so by God. And although Enoch describes this journey in religious language, he's also pretty scientific. He describes seeing mountains below. He sees every river on earth. He describes seeing how the winds are made, possibly referring to cloud formations. Enoch sees all of this as divine, but his account could be referring to technology. A smartphone would seem supernatural to someone living thousands of years ago. A spaceship would be incomprehensible. When Enoch arrives in heaven,
The mothership.
he's shown a bunch of doors. He calls them 12 gates. Each door has a name and a purpose. He sees beings walking in and out of the doors, going about their business. Enoch calls these beings angels and archangels. Like Uriel, they radiate light. It's been suggested that these beings could be holographic projections. Though they're extremely bright, Enoch can see through them. Enoch is then taken on a tour of the cosmos. He travels the galaxy. He's shown the movement of celestial bodies. He's told about man's place in the universe. Uriel teaches Enoch about the solar system. He's told the length of an Earth year is 364 days. He's shown the lunar cycle. He's shown how constellations move across the sky. This is interesting because the Book of Enoch was written thousands of years before many of these discoveries were made. Now, you would think that there would be nothing above heaven, but wherever Enoch is, this place has a ceiling. Enoch specifically calls it a lofty roof. Enoch is taken to a giant room full of plants that he doesn't recognize. Uriel calls it one of the storehouses of nature. Now, this could be an arboretum or a garden. When humans finally travel, the best known theory to support this.
So this is such, in 2025 now we see Elon Musk with his Starship rockets and this great rocket ships that are taking satellites to low Earth orbit, and then now he wants humans to travel beyond the low Earth orbit, and he wants humans to go to the moon again. And if the humans have been on the moon in the first place. But the point remains that when you read the Book of Enoch, and it is so mind-blowing because how would you explain a rocket to people like 5,000 years ago? It's like a chariot, it's like a chariot that has fire coming from behind. So it's like a traveling vehicle, but its propulsion system is like the fire that comes from the back. And Enoch, angels descend to earth and take Enoch on this journey. They put him in this vehicle that is like rocket propulsion, and the rocket takes Enoch to this place, this observatory, like a ship that would be used to transport beings from one place in the solar system to another, or even interstellar travel. And Enoch sees like this, the whole spaceship as like having like bright ceilings and having like 12 doors and having like this amazing garden. So how would you, if you were traveling on a ship, how would you eat? How would you like sustain yourself? It's the only way is that you are growing your own food on that spaceship. And it's such a fascinating story that even in these ancient traditions, when we hear them, I mean, obviously some of these things look mythical, but really, these things could easily be interpreted as like an interstellar spaceship that was traveling, and angels descended from that spaceship in rockets and then took Enoch with him to this journey, and they galaxy, and that could be like this holographic representation. Or that could be even mind control and mind, what you could say, mind reading or telepathy, that they have this whole hologram in front of of Enoch, just like the Hollywood movies that we see. And in that hologram, the aliens are one by one showing Enoch how the universe is and where is the human, how do the humans exist in this place. So with that, let's read a few more comments from our viewers. So Bahab is saying hello. Here to listen to, I think I read these comments. Nadeem is saying, actually, I've also received, read this comment, I think. And Fezzi Dandy is saying, did jinns teach human the dark arts in exchange of something we've long forgotten? Yes, it is said that I'll play the video of Harut and Marut, and that will tell you about these jinns that gave humans the knowledge. Actually, that would be a really nice time. I'll just play the video. So,
where have you been all my life?
Gift shop.
You guys can understand what I'm talking about. So sorry, there's a lot of videos that I have for you guys
Of
today.
humans and jinn. These beings are called nasnas, described as half human, half jinn, often with missing body parts. However, we could not find strong academic sources about this. These stories mostly come from local beliefs or folk tales. Some people claim to have married jinn or had sexual contact with them, and there are even so-called jinn experts who talk about these events. But again, because we didn't find any solid sources, we are sharing this as just a possibility. Shaitan-like beings. The destructive and chaotic nature of Nephilim is similar to the evil jinn described in Islam. According to Islam, Shaitan has billions of helpers. There are even authentic hadith that say every human has at least one personal Shaitan. So that secret-filled story in the Book of Enoch, Harut and Marut, how does Islam explain this event? Yes, they were angels, and yes, they really did teach magic to people. But this was not rebellion. It was the opposite. They did this duty with the permission of Allah and by His command. At that time, shaitans and jinn were teaching magic to people, darkening their minds and hearts. So, Harut and Marut came to stop this dark magic. They brought knowledge. They showed people how to protect themselves. But in order to break a magic spell, you first need to understand how that spell is made, because the way to break it depends on the type of the magic. It's just like a doctor. They must first understand the illness and learn how the body works. That's why these angels explain the details of the magic. But every time they warn people, do not use this knowledge for bad purposes. But humanity, once again, chose the same old path. They did not listen to the warnings. Instead of breaking the magic, they used it for their own personal gain. And in the end, just like many nations before them, they were destroyed. So what kind of life did Prophet Idrees?
So yeah, that is like a goosebumps giving story about Harut and Marut and these two angels that came from God, and that is answering Faizi's question that what did these fallen angels or these jinns or there's many ways to describe these people. According to Islam, they were angels sent from heaven, and Harut and Marut, they did not come to exchange something. They came on the message of God. God wanted to stop the black magic, to stop. Are you saying something? So God wanted to stop the black magic, and Harut and Marut came and they really talked to all these people that were of that time because they were suffering a lot from these dark spells and this magic. And Harut and Marut, they really explained to people this knowledge about magic, about witchcraft, about alchemy. And with these powers, these people could defend themselves against these dark forces. But what do people do? Because people become corrupt. And people started using these dark powers against each other, to destroy other people, at which God became really angry, and God sent this cataclysmic flood to wipe them off. And shows about this story that Harut and Marut, and also what happened to Harut and Marut, because Harut and Marut, I'll show you a video as well about the Watchers. So these Watchers...
The Watchers became lustful.
Told ya.
Then they started taking human women as wives for themselves.
And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children.
So yeah, and this is mentioned according to Islam and according to other places as well, that the angels were doing everything on the command of God, and the angels couldn't really do things that were wrong. But when they saw the women on earth and how beautiful they were, they got indulged in these beautiful women. And when these angels had some sort of contact with these women, the children that were made were the Nephilim. And these were half jinn, half human, who had so much power, who had so much technology, but they used to have this dream of this cataclysmic flood that was going to wipe them out. And all of them were having the same dream. And that is when they came to Noah and told them about this story. And Noah said that it was not just a story, it wasn't just a nightmare. It was really going to happen, because Nephilim had become so proud, and Nephilim were proud and arrogant, and they weren't believing in the word of God, and they were doing all this impossible. And that is the story of the Great Flood that is I'm going to tell. But what happened to Harut and Marut? Harut and Marut, when God saw that they were indulged in women, God told them that he was going to give like a strict punishment to them. But according to some sources, these two angels are still hanging in a well, hanging upside down in a well, since the time of Noah. And they will hang in that well till eternity, and that's their punishment. And if because God is giving these Harut and Marut, these fallen angels, punishment in this world, so God will forgive him on the day of judgment. And that is like a fascinating story as well. So let's go to another video. And then
The waters kept receding steadily from the earth, so that they had gone down.
Then the world becomes filled with people like this. Soon God can't tell who's a Nephilim and who isn't. Enoch delivers the message to the Watchers, to the Nephilim, and to all mankind. Repent for your sin or suffer the wrath of God. Enoch's warning is ignored. He's brought back to heaven, where he begs God to help save the earth. So God makes a decision. The earth has become so corrupt and so foul that it needs to be reset. He will cause an event so cataclysmic that everything and everyone will be killed. Humans, angels, Nephilim, all of it, gone. But one man and his family will be spared. The only man who can't be corrupted. The only man who could be trusted to restart civilization. Enoch's great-grandson, Noah. But here's the thing. There's a lot more to Noah than we've been told. In the Book of Enoch, we get the full story.
The waters kept receding steadily from the earth.
Lake around 260 feet lower than it is today. It was cut off from the Mediterranean Sea by a rocky sill in the Bosphorus Strait. Then around 8,400 years ago, the Laurentide ice sheet collapsed, causing an abrupt sea level jump. This sent a catastrophic inflow of Mediterranean seawater over this natural dam and into the Black Sea. Almost 40,000 square miles of land were flooded. This significantly expanded the shoreline to both the north and the west. 200 times the flow of Niagara Falls poured through every day, and each day the level of the Black Sea rose several feet. And this continued for 300 days, creating the Black Sea as we know it today. Undersea surveys have revealed human-made structures. The remains of freshwater fish have also been found. The memory of this massive flood could have been passed of a local flood, which would have been the entire world to the people living there. But how about an actual global flood? A flood that affected every part of the earth? Skeptics claim the biblical flood could not have occurred because there's no actual evidence for a global flood. The ancient Sumerian Epic of Gilgamesh is the first flood story. Utnapishtim is warned by the god Ea about a great flood. He builds a large boat to save his family and animals from the deluge sent by the god Enlil. And Enlil was also
Anunnaki!
Right. In Hinduism, Manu, the first man, saves a fish who later warns him of a great flood. The fish instructs Manu to build a boat, and when the flood comes, the fish guides the boat to safety, carrying Manu, the 7 sages, and the seeds of.
So yeah, I just showed you 2 videos. One is this the theory of the Black Sea deluge, and the second is the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, in both of these things, there's this story about this great flood that came and destroyed and wiped out the whole. It cleared the humanity. It cleared the world of humans, of Nephilims, of the Watchers. And Noah built like a boat, and in this boat was every animal that was a pair of every animal. Now, the Book of Enoch also explains the width, the diameter, the height, and it clearly says that the Ark of Noah should have like 5 different stages. And some people say that Noah might not have carried all of the humans, of all the animal species, a pair of all the animal species. They might have been like baby animals that Noah might have taken, or they might have like this great DNA lab that was in the Ark of Noah. Now, if you just take like a wolf, and then you have the DNA of a Chihuahua, and DNA of like a Rottweiler, and DNA of a Labrador. So from that wolf, from that lady wolf, you can create all these different species, because when the DNAs are matching a little bit, you just need one animal and it can create a lot of different offsprings. And that is the story. I mean, how amazing would it be if Noah had this big giant ark in which there was the DNA of every living creature, of all the birds. And when the flood came down after 40 days, Noah rebuilt civilization. He gave all the laws, he gave all the knowledge, and he slowly and steadily started repopulating the world through artificial insemination, through this DNA repository that had the DNA of all these mammals. And you know that the shape of the DNA, the double helix that we see today, that shape is not from today. That shape is from a much ancient time in which even in the megalithic structures and in the wall paintings, we see the double helix, which is the DNA that we know today. How did ancient people know about the double helix? I mean, it is beyond recognition. I want to show you a video of Joe Rogan, because I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan is really explaining I'll just show you the video so you probably
The Joe Rogan Experience.
This is a good way to segue into like what you do, and because these subjects, so many of these subjects, so many people have like an instantaneous react crazy about him.
Yeah.
But when he starts talking about it, when you read some of the things that they wrote, and when you see like some of the images that they created, the images that look like the double helix from DNA, and there's a bunch of that now we represent the caduceus, which represents pharmacies and drugs. Like that's the old version of an image of the double helix of DNA, or at least it looks super similar to that.
Oh, it definitely is, because it's referenced even in the Egyptian Book of the Dead and other ancient texts. So there's no coincidences here. Now, Zecharia Sitchin, I don't particularly go by his work. Not because it's controversial. I believe he was one of the greatest researchers of all time. And the reason why is because he laid out so much information for us to begin to scratch our head and ask questions. But what I figured out was that by going through the UCLA CDLI online cuneiform digital library, say that fast 10 times, I was able to take stone tablets and decipher them myself. So anyone can go online to the UCLA CDLI online cuneiform digital library and read these stone tablets for themselves. You don't need Zecharia Sitchin. You don't need anyone else. And as I began to break these tablets down...
Do they have them transcribed, or are you reading the actual...
English for you?
Is there controversy as far as, like, are there different versions of the transcription? Like, do some people think it's interpreted?
It comes to where some of the text is missing.
It's so hard for people to put in their brain 5,000 years of time, and that there's these people that have this very bizarre language. Like, when you look at that language, we don't even know what it sounds like, right?
Right, no, and the language popped up out of nowhere. You're talking about a civilization that appeared out of nothing.
It looks like computer code.
It does. Text was translated in the 1800s, long before Zecharia Sitchin was born. So there are some rumors that, he was the only one that could decipher these tablets. Well, no. George Smith, who worked as an Assyriologist and wrote many books and deciphered these Sumerian tablets in the 1800s. So,
just how wild. When you look at that language, we don't even know a human being deciding.
So. Right now on the screen you're seeing these Sumerian tablets, and these Sumerian tablets are like 5,000 years old, and when you see the sort of language that is written on it, it seems like a computer code. That's what Joe Rogan is saying, and that is so insane, because how can people who are 5,000 years old, 5,000 years ago, create such an intricate language? And in these scrolls, there is the Epic of Gilgamesh. That is this great story about, this great flood. And let me show you the video on Epic of Gilgamesh again, and then I'll deep dive inside what is the deep seas, what is these Sumerian tablets.
The ancient Sumerian Epic of Gilgamesh is the first flood story. Utnapishtim is warned by the god Ea about a great flood. He builds a large boat to save his family and animals from the deluge sent by the god Enlil. And Enlil was also
Anunnaki!
Right. In Hinduism, Manu, the first man, saves a fish who later warns him of a great flood. The fish instructs Manu to build a boat, and when the flood comes, the fish guides the boat to safety, carrying Manu.
So in the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's this story, and you have to know that Sumerians are in another century, in another millennia, and then the Book of Enoch is just another place, another century, another what you could say, like thousands of years apart, thousands of kilometers apart, and they're talking about the same thing. And in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's clearly written about this great flood, this great mystery, and it also talks about the Anunnaki and Enlil. Who are the Anunnaki? Anunnaki are like these beings, these aliens who descended from the heaven. And this is where Zecharia Sitchin's story comes in as well, because Zecharia Sitchin is one of the most controversial people, and there's like this website over Zecharia Sitchin, and it says that Zecharia Sitchin was wrong. And what he says is that there's like this planet Nibiru that goes through the orbit of Earth and around the orbit of Earth, and it's a planet that is orbiting the sun, but the whole year, the solar year for that planet is like 36,000 years ago. So what happened like 36,000 or thousands of years ago, that this planet Nibiru was traveling closer to Earth, and the people who came traveled from Nibiru to Earth were the Anunnakis. And when they came to Earth, they found out that all of the Earth was filled with these humanoid creatures, but they were not that intelligent. And through all my debate that I'm doing today, I'm talking about the different sorts of creatures that used to exist, like the Neanderthals and the early primates, and people who were the giants, and people who were half human, half jinn. These are such incredible stories about these different sort of people who used to exist. And I was talking about the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki, when they came, they found out that they could either make like a super intelligent AI, but the experience they had with a super intelligent AI was that it got too powerful and it went rogue, and it didn't have this compassion or this mercy or this feelings. It was just a computer code, and it did whatever it thought was right. So it was such a big destruction that they did not want to create artificial intelligence again on this Earth. And they what they found out was they could uplift primates into human beings. So the monkeys or the primates that used to live before the Anunnaki came were like dumb. They didn't know any language. They didn't have any tools. But Anunnaki came and they really uplifted these humans. They put their own DNA in a female primate, and that from that primate humans were born. And there's this spirit molecule in the humans, and that's a recent discovery. And the point is that the story about uplifting primates to become humans is important because the Anunnaki wanted gold. Why did the Anunnaki want gold? Now that's like an interesting question. Because gold is this element that has this amazing properties. You can cover a vast amount of space with a little bit of gold. You have heard gold-plated watches, and you have seen gold leaves, and even in the Burj Khalifa, all of the walls are mixed with gold, and they've put gold leaves on many of the walls, and that is because of the amazing properties of gold. What was happening in Nibiru? In Nibiru, that planet was falling apart, literally, and because their climate had gone. So the Anunnaki needed gold to protect their planet. They learned that if they suspended gold molecules, gold particles in the atmosphere, it would reflect all the bad radiations that were reaching their planet, and they destroyed their atmosphere because of all their technology, all their mining, and whatever they were doing. So now, why is gold so important for people? Because as soon as the flood went away and there was a human civilization. Humans have had gold since that time. Now, you asked like a human that is like living 10,000 years ago. There's no technology. There's no sense of civilization. There's no culture. There's just hunter-gatherers. Why does this hunter-gatherer want gold? And why? Because you can't really make a knife out of gold. Gold cannot be used as a tool. Gold, on the other hand, could be used as jewelry. So when we take out the jewelry from even the ancient civilizations, we see that they were using gold. And this is because the Anunnaki, when they were uplifting human beings, uplifting is this concept of changing the DNA, tinkering with the DNA, uplifting primates and tinkering with their DNA. And Anunnaki embed that humans needed gold. It's like a second nature, because I don't know if we could do this experiment, that if we take this population that doesn't know anything about gold, which is very hard to do, because even in the jungles people know about gold, even the people who are living like hunter-gatherers know about gold. So it's something inside us that when we see this shiny yellow metal, we get more attracted, and gold has had its value since the dawn of mankind. So why these hunter-gatherer people who have nothing, who barely have food, they're collecting gold? And that is because, I don't know, it's been going on for a long while. So what I was explaining was why humans have this psychological attraction towards gold, and that is because when Anunnaki were uplifting humans, they put this thing inside our minds and inside our brains that we love gold, and we've been cherishing and collecting golds inside vaults for thousands and thousands of years. And some say in the Swiss vaults and underneath the mountains, there's so much gold, probably worth trillions of dollars, and it remains in the vault. And so the aliens, they uplifted humans, and the humans were there to collect gold. And we see gold mines as early as civilization started. So as soon as Noah's Ark landed and humanity came through, we see gold mines at that era. So humans, according to Zachariah Sitchin, were collecting gold. And as soon as the Anunnaki had enough gold, they went away in their own way, and they left humans on this planet. And that might be a story that is like a mythical story, but that is like a fascinating story, because there is something about that. So let's just go and read a few comments. And who do we have here? So Momna Vahid is saying, hey, वली और यहाँ के सब लोग कैसे हैं? मैं कुछ दिन आउट ऑफ सिटी थी, वरना मैं तो डेली ही हाजिर फ़ैन हूँ बट डोंट वेरी, आज से पहले फुल अटेंडेंस मोड ऑन हो गया. थैंक यू मोमना वहीद. वी ऑल्सो हैड लाइक a few days of rest in between, and we're happy that you're back, and we want your attendance in every live stream. So Asma is saying, you're finally back today. We all missed you in the stream. Yes, Momna, we did miss you. And Asma, you're right. And Momna is saying, thank you, Asma. मुझे पता था अब सब लोग मुझे ज़ोर से मिस करेंगे. शायद इसलिए ही मैं गायब हो गई थी. थोड़े टेस्ट लेना था लॉयल्टी का. Yes, thank you so much. लॉयल्टी का टेस्ट जो है ना वो आपने पास कर लिए. मोमना वहीद, you are the number one fan, and you're the number one supporter of Wali Wonders, and we hope that you keep on coming back again to our live streams and giving us your full attendance. So Faizi is saying, crack the flower of life code. Do we open portals and tap free energy like the ancients once did? And yeah, we'll talk about that. Early in the stream we were talking about this flower of life, this depiction. We were talking about the holographic universe and how the ancients were tapping the energy of the quantum physical realm, the energy of the tiniest particles, and there's so much energy that even nuclear energy is nothing compared to the energy that dark matter could give. If you could collect some certain amount of dark matter, and even a gram of dark matter is considered like trillions of dollars, because it's such an unrealistic thing to obtain, and there's such few particles of dark matter that we have. And even when we are able to collect a few particles of dark matter, they just vanish away, because even if they touch anything, they'll just explode and create this burst of energy. So that's the next frontier, and that is what the ancients were telling us with this diagram of the flower of life. And Asma Munir is saying, Momna loyalty test cleared, up daily attendance for a next level test. So Ali Jabbar is saying, Assalamu alaikum, I'm from Islamabad and it's my first time on this channel. After seeing the content and crazy city level energy of audience, I had no choice to join in the Wali Wonder squad. Thank you, Ali Jabbar. Thank you for being here. We appreciate all of our viewers that are that watch our live streams and that do comment. And I mean, we couldn't do the things we do without our trusty audience and without all the people who are giving such nice comments. And without you guys, it would be just impossible. And another thing as well, do like, share, and subscribe as much as possible, people, because that's like a free way to support our live stream and for us to continue what we're doing, and for us to give you all these mysteries in the middle of night, talking about jinns, talking about the jinn-human hybrids. And Wahab is saying, do you think the stories of Nephilim and the Watchers are based on real events or just meant to teach lessons? I mean, I don't believe that the Nephilim and the Watchers would be like how they've explained in the Book of Enoch and the fallen angels. I mean, the stories do repeat, but I think that the most logical explanation could be the explanation of Islam, because that is one scripture that hasn't been alterated, and that's the thing that we have against these other scriptures like the Torah and Injil and the Bible and the Book of Enoch. Why do we not believe in them? Because they have been adulterated through time. People have changed these scriptures according to what they believed, and basically the theory about the theory about fallen angels might not be true, because in the Book of Enoch, these angels were rebellious and they were rebelling against God. That's why they taught humanity the arts of witchcraft and the arts of alchemy and all the evil that they gave. But in Islam, it says that these angels gave this knowledge on the commandment of God. So, and plus, of all the stories, we have to take it with a grain of salt. So, Wahab is saying, so, ain't by ain't. ain't by in it is saying, I think the stories are very real. The Nephilim are real. The myths are history. And I think we are in reverent something. I think it's telling us about some book. And Fezzi Dandy is saying, Noah, a prophet of God. And Bushra Azim is saying, Islamic nazar mein Hazrat Idrees और नूह का वाक़या हकीकत है, लेकिन नेफिलिम और वॉचेस का लफ्ज़ कुरान में नहीं, शायद कुछ रिवायतों से कहानियाँ बनी हैं. यस, नेफिलिम और वॉचेस नहीं हैं. इस्लाम के अंदर हारूत और मारूत हैं, जिनको हम वॉचेस कह सकते हैं, और जो कि हमें ये भी पता है कि हारूत और मारूत जो है ना, वो इंसानों औरतों के अंदर उनका इंटरेस्ट पैदा होना शुरू हो गया, और उनको बाकी सारी दुनिया की अट्रैक्शंस नहीं मैटर करती थी, मगर जब उन्होंने औरतें देखी तो उनका भी दिल ये चाहने लगा कि वो औरतों के साथ अपना कोई अफेयर चलाएं, ऐसी कोई चीज़. तो दैट इज़ व्हेन गॉड इवन पनिश दीज एंजल्स, एंड इट इज़ नॉट नोन दैट इन जो कि हारूत मारूत थे, उन्होंने इंसानों से कोई बच्चे पैदा किए, मगर कुछ ट्रेडिशंस के मुताबिक which we will discuss that there were इंसानों और जिन्नों के बच्चे इकट्ठे पैदा हुए जिनको watchers कहते थे, मगर it's all speculation and we cannot be really sure that these things happened, but yeah, they're like mythical stories, and to understand what people were writing like 5,000 years ago gives you some sort of a perspective on what was happening, even though some of the things might not be true. So, yes, there's a lot of comments going on. Let me show you, read to you. इस्लामिक नज़र में हज़रत इदरीस और नूह का वाक़या हकीकत है. अच्छा सही है, पढ़ लिए. In Islam, the Queen of Sheba is also known as Bilqis in Arabic. Yes. Yes, thank you, Fazzi, for explaining that to us. Queen of Sheba is also known as Bilqis. I mean, this is like a really interesting story. And Bushra Azim says, do you know the Epic of Gilgamesh flood story predates Noah's story, but both are strikingly similar? Could they point to the same real event? And that is what we are saying today. It could be that they are pointing towards a real event, and we'll go deep down inside because we're just about to start the story of Noah as well. Ali Jabbar is saying, right, Asma, Quranic references matter the most. Baki myths ho sakti hain, lekin jab tak confirm na ho, bias explore ki ही किया जा सकता है. Do we summon jinn or do we summon us? Planting the idea to begin. So yeah, there's like in the dark magic, in the black magic, and in these dark mystic Kabbalah or something like that, you do these rituals and you like sit in a place for 40 days and you make a sacrifice and you draw a circle around you, and when the 40 days pass, and this is all speculation, I don't know for this for real, you can actually gather some jinn, and that jinn can come under your control. And that is like an interesting story. So Asma Munir says, yes, Bushra in Islam, Noah's flood is a real event in Quran, but the Epic of Gilgamesh isn't related. It seems as a historical story. So similarities. And yes, I do want to, I have these notes on Islam, and I'll tell you the Islamic perspective as well about all of these great myths, and हज़रत नूह की जो कश्ती थी जो कि सैलाब आया, इस सारी स्टोरीज़ के बारे में मैं आपको I'll explain you one by one. So Ali Faraz is saying the Book of Enoch is a mysterious artifact probably containing the secret of universe. Now Ali Faraz, Enoch might have traveled beyond our dimension. Yeah. So yeah, we know that God is beyond the dimension of time. And we know that angels are beyond the dimension of time, because angels can traverse the whole universe in just a second. And there's this speed of light which stops all the matter that we see that exists in this universe. It stops them from traveling faster than the speed of light, because when you travel at the speed of light, you transfer from matter into energy. And even with the speed of light, if you want to go through the galaxy, it would take thousands and thousands of years, maybe millions of years. And now you want to travel through the universe, which is impossible. So most of the stars that we see in the sky, we can never reach them, even if we are traveling at the speed of light. We're just seeing these stars, and when the light is reaching us, these stars might not be even there. Because if the light took like 5 billion or 10 billion years just to reach us, and now we're seeing the past, it's like a fascinating concept. That we're seeing the past, we're seeing the star when it was like the way it was 5 billion or 10 billion years ago. And if we could see what the star was right now, or the galaxy was right now, maybe the galaxy might have vanished or disappeared or had collided with another galaxy or another star. And such time and space are like these concepts that is very hard to grasp. And we know that angels can traverse dimensions. They can travel from one place of the universe to another through wormholes, through quantum teleportation. And these are like much concepts that could be much more explored upon in another live episode. So Asma is saying, is the Epic of Gilgamesh considered a historical story? Do you think people back then might have exaggerated real events from surroundings while writing it? Yes, Ali Jabbar, you're right. And Asma is replying to Ali Jabbar, and she's saying, from the Quranic view, only true events and lessons are mentioned. Stories like Gilgamesh aren't confirmed, so people might have exaggerated the real events. The Quran account is final. So there's some. So we will read a few more comments, but let's get back to the story of the Hazrat Nuh and the story of the ark. So I before starting the live stream, I wrote a few of these points, and I'll read it out to you, because according to the Bible, in the Old Testament, the story of Noah is described in detail, and it's written in the book of Genesis. And according to the Bible, Noah was this righteous man, the most pious person in this time, who was close to God. And God commanded Noah to build this ark, like 60 cubits wide, and it's written in the Book of Enoch, the exact dimensions. And humanity was like so sinful, and they like had so much bad in them that God wanted to reset the whole thing by sending a great flood. So Noah like brings like this pair of each pair of animal on this ark, and he brings his family, and it rains for 40 days and 40 nights, and it floods a big huge chunk of earth. And the ark, when the flood goes down, the ark comes to lands on the Mount of Ararat. Ararat, yes. And according to Islam, this is, I'll tell you. The name of the mountain is also written in Islam, but it's a different name. So after the flood, Noah offered a sacrifice to God, and God made a rainbow a sign of his promise to never destroy earth again with the flood. And the Bible also includes the story where Noah drank wine, and Noah got drunk and uncovered. And that's, we can never talk such bad things about the prophet. But some of these depictions, some of these things that Christianity says about the Great Flood are true. And I'll tell you what the Jews think about the Great Flood, and then I'll explain that we have actually found Noah's Ark today. Firstly, it was like CIA who really uncovered the Ark of Noah, and then now, according to biblical context, according to Islam, and according to all the other scriptures, we know that the Ark of Noah landed, the ship landed in Turkey. And in Turkey, we have actually found this Ark in which supposedly Noah kept all these beings alive for 40 days and he repopulated the earth. So, according to the Jews, according to Torah, which is one of the most sacred books and one of the oldest, and it was given to Moses, Prophet Moses, that's what we believe. The Torah is called the Torah, and according to Islam, it was originally a divine book revealed to Moses. And in the Torah, there's a story that after the flood, Noah made wine from grapes, and he drank it, and that's the wrong story. But the ark came to rest on Mount Judy, which is mentioned in the Quran, and is located in the present-day Turkey, near Iraq's border, in the Jewish Christian traditions. It is called Mount Ararat, but Islam identifies it as Mount Judy. So let me show you videos of what I'm trying to say, because sometimes things get a little bit too much information. So let me first tell you about...
The waters kept receding steadily from the earth, so that they had gone down by the end of the 150 days. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on one of the mountains of Ararat.
Historians and biblical scholars agree Ararat is the Hebrew name of Urartu, an Iron Age kingdom centered around Lake Van. This indicates the mountains of Ararat must be found in the eastern part of Turkey, near the border of Armenia, Iran, and Azerbaijan. A ground investigation was done. In the area was found about 30 drogue stones. A drogue stone is a heavy rock with a hole at the top. Ropes went through the holes. Then they were hung from the bottoms of ancient ships to stabilize them in rough seas. Why are there anchor stones in the mountains of Ararat? They're 200 miles from the closest ocean, but there they are. Also on the site, the ancient settlement of Nashwan was discovered. Most of the evidence has been lost to treasure hunters, but as recently as the 1970s, there were stone foundations of ancient homes still visible. This is believed to be the first settlement after the flood. The site is so important that there's a huge cemetery in the area. People from all over the world requested to be buried here. Not hundreds of people, not thousands, as many as 1 million people wanted to be buried at this location. Now all that was left was to examine the boat structure itself. Researchers looked for signs of animal remains. They looked for metal nails. They looked for petrified wood.
So yeah, how amazing is that? That not only do we see the remains of Noah's Ark, we also see the balancing stones that were used. They're like, besides the Ark of Noah, there's like this a number of these huge stones which are used even in modern day. These stones are used to like anchor ships and to balance the ships. And how did Noah know about this? And if there was no Noah's Ark, why were there like balancing stones, and why is like 1 million people buried around the Ark of Noah? And that is such an important fact. And we really need to deep dive inside what's going on, because it's a story of human origin. Where did humans come from? And today's science, I'm sorry to say, is like protecting this knowledge. They don't want us people to know the real story of humanity, of civilization, how we came into being. And let's see the other video. So we're talking about the Ark.
In October 1959, Turkish Army Captain İlhan Darupınar was on a mapping mission for NATO. When he flew over Uzengeli, Turkey, he saw a strange formation and snapped a photo. When analyzing the film, he was shocked by what he saw. This structure looked a lot like a large ship. But what was a ship doing so far inland, at almost 7,000 feet above sea level? Then someone decided to measure it. It was 538 feet long. Now that's too big to be Noah's Ark. The Ark was 300 cubits long, so 400. Noah is described as beautiful with bright glowing skin. And from the moment of birth, Noah can speak. Noah's father, Lamech, panics. Not only was the shape of a ship found, it had 3 levels, just as the Ark should. The 3D scan also confirmed the dimensions of the object: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, 30 cubits tall. A perfect match. During one demonstration for the Turkish government, Ron Wyatt pointed to an object seen on radar near the surface. He was given permission to dig it up. It was a piece of petrified wood, deck timber. Other artifacts were found at the site: more petrified wood, pieces of metal, cat hair, even fossilized animal dung. Researchers found evidence of the fence around Noah's house, where he raised livestock.
You can see the system of fences here that appears to have been a system of corrals and pens.
They found the altar he used to make sacrifices to God. They even found the grave of Noah's wife and a stone sarcophagus. Almost immediately after the discovery, grave robbers stole her body and allegedly sold it on the black market for millions of dollars.
Make yourself an ark of cypress wood.
So,
flew over Uzengeli, Turkey, strange formation and snapped a photo. When analyzing the film, he was shocked by what he saw.
So the footage that I'm showing you right now is in Uzengeli, Turkey, and it is showing us the real Ark of the Covenant. And when the scientists did ground penetrating radar, they found that the dimensions that were exactly written in the Book of Enoch, 60 cubits wide, 40 cubits in diameter, and something like that. The boat has that exact same dimensions. And let me show you that one as well that I just showed you.
Not only
yeah. So this is the image that I'm showing you on the screen is like the ground penetrating radar, and it is showing you like the remains of the Ark of Noah. And they also found fossilized animal waste. They found like DNA, they found like hair, cat hair, they found like wood deck wood that was used to create like the boat. And I mean, how amazing is that Quran and the Bible and even the Jewish scripture tells us about this place in which the Noah's Ark is supposed to exist. And now in the 21st century, we actually see the Noah's Ark, and it's there, and we can do the ground penetrating radar, and we see when Noah finally landed his boat on this mountain, the animal sacrificing places are built there. The place where Noah kept his livestock is still there. I mean, that is like a megalithic structure that predates the Great Flood, and it's talking about this great cataclysm that is going to come, and it's going to wipe out the whole world. And Göbekli Tepe was intentionally buried like a time capsule for the future generation. When they would come, they would if the future generations, like thousands and thousands of years, when they would dig it out from the ground, they would exactly know what happened to their ancestors at what time, at what place. Because also these, as soon as the flood came, went by, people had this amazing knowledge of the stars and the precision. And we talked about this in an earlier live stream as well, that they were aligning their monasteries or their worship places towards the North Star, towards the brightest star in the sky. And they exactly knew, because they built like this monastery, and then they built another monastery after 500 years, and then they built another monastery after 500 years. So over the time, they knew that the North Star was shifting, and they shifted their monasteries according to that thing. And that is, I mean, that is some knowledge beyond what people consider. Like, even today, people don't have this sort of knowledge. And I mean, how did the ancient people know about all these things? It's a fascinating mystery that sees that we really can't explain how these things really happen. So let me show you a video now on what is written in the Book of Enoch about the ship and about this mystery.
Make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark, and make lower, middle, and upper decks.
This is a big ship, longer than a football field, almost 100 feet wide, and taller than a 5-story building. It would need to be big, because Noah had an additional responsibility.
You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
This is a good way to segue in.
How amazing is that Noah knew about the great flood that would come. And Noah knew about how God in the Book of Enoch gave Noah the exact commandments on how to build this ark. And it was like larger than a football field, taller than a 5-story building. And it had all the animals. And that is like, I'll show you a scene from the movie 2012. And it would exactly show you the sort of ark that Noah would have. So at the end of the movie, the hero enters this place that is like the ship that is going to carry humanity. Earlier I showed you this great flood that is engulfing even the mountains, and there's this monk who is on the top of the mountain praying, and even the waves are so huge, like hundreds of foots, hundreds of meters, that even the mountains aren't safe. And then when they reach the ship, this is the sort of ship that could depict Noah's Ark, the size. And I mean, how magnificent is that? It's like if today the world would end, how would you carry the seed of life? how would you repopulate? We're seeing in the movie, Noah's Ark is like the, and yeah, let's watch the scene about this ship that Noah built, and let me tell you about the flood as well.
Flood, it was called pseudoscience. But as often happens, the only difference between pseudoscience and science is time.
I think that the evidence is consistent with what I will call a mega-scale pluvial event over North Africa. Most likely consistent with the Pleistocene-Holocene transition and the great flooding events that we know are well documented from other places in the world.
Huge tsunamis and torrential rain flooded the entire continent of Africa, reshaping the landscape. At the same time, on the other side of the world, the same event.
Here, what you have to visualize is a tsunami sweeping over the land that's over 1,000 feet deep. That's what happened here. And we know that because we can trace the high water marks on the hillsides are clearly left. The high water marks are clearly etched into the hillsides.
Living near a coastline would be gone. Any settlements or cities below a certain elevation would be destroyed. The cause of this event is still being debated. Some believe a large asteroid impact or a series of impacts caused the sudden melting of the ice. Another theory, the one I believe, is that a massive solar flare hit the Earth. This would cause the ice to melt everywhere at once and explain why flood myths exist in every corner of the world. Whatever caused it, it was a catastrophic event. An event of biblical proportions, literally. Warn the giants and the watchers of the world. Repent or feel God's wrath. They ignored his warning.
So, yes,
flood, it was called pseudoscience. But huge tsunamis and torrential
transition and the great flooding events that we know.
Event.
Here, what you have to visualize.
So, here, what you're seeing on the screen is like a visualization, a real picture of the remnants of the flood. So when you're standing on the beach and a wave comes in, and now the wave is returning, you see these hinges in the sand, and that is because the wave that is coming in might be just a few feet high. But here we're talking about a flood. A wave of water that was like 200 meters high, 400 meters high. It's like a skyscraper, a wave that is the size of a skyscraper is coming towards you. Now, where will you go? Where will you run? And that is also in Islam, the story of Noah. Noah told Hazrat Nuh, he told his son and his wife were non-believers, and God said to Noah that this cannot be your son because he's not listening to your commandments. So when Noah told his son to get on the boat because there was this great flood coming, Noah's son said that, don't worry, Dad, I'll go to the height of the mountain and I'll be safe from the flood. And he ran to the top of the mountain and he never came in the boat. And the waves were so high that even the top of the mountains were buried deep beneath. The whole, half of the African continent was buried deep beneath these waves. And I mean, the story is like a fascination beneath itself. And what I was showing you in the photo that is, I think it's showing you in the video, in the live stream, is the remnants. Now, this is an image taken above the ground, many hundreds of feet above the ground, and these ridges that you're seeing are like hundreds of feet. So imagine like a 400-meter wave coming and then returning, and it creates these withering patterns that are just beyond any imagination. I mean, how difficult is that to comprehend? So, so what I would want to say about the Great Flood myth. So let me give you a few more videos.
Enkidu, a wild man who lives among the animals. When they finally meet, they become inseparable friends after a fierce wrestling match. Together, they embark on epic adventures. They decide to make a name for themselves by traveling to the cedar forest to defeat Humbaba, a monstrous guardian. After a brutal battle, they kill Humbaba and cut down the sacred cedar trees. Their fame attracts the attention of the goddess Ishtar, who proposes to Gilgamesh. When he rejects her, she sends the bull of heaven to punish him. Gilgamesh and Enkidu confront the bull, slaying it in a fierce fight. However, their defiance angers the gods, leading to Enkidu's tragic death as punishment. Devastated by the loss of his friend, Gilgamesh sets out on a quest for immortality, hoping to avoid Enkidu's fate. He meets wise figures like Utnapishtim, who was granted eternal life by the gods. Through his journey and trials, Gilgamesh learns that immortality is reserved for the gods, while true legacy lies in the lasting impact one has on his people. King Gilgamesh of Uruk
So also, when I'm talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's a story about these two people. These two people, one of them was like this savage who lived in the forest, and the other one was this great being that was like very tall and very strong. And the guy from the forest came, and they had this great brawl, and the fight was so epic and no one was the clear winner, so they became best friends. And now these two friends go on this journey, and they offend the gods, and then the god sends a bull and destroys them. And it's like a whole story that is written on the Sumerian tablets, like 6,000. It's preserved for the past 5,000 years almost. And the Epic of Gilgamesh might be considered like not such a true story, but the story of the flood myth that comes in the Epic of Gilgamesh, and comes in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and comes in the Book of Enoch, comes in Islamic scriptures, it comes in Jewish scriptures. I mean, there might be that all of these cultures are over millennia are saying the same, repeating the same stories. So it might be that you cannot just disagree or dismiss all of this myth. And maybe the guardians of knowledge that live today want to protect humanity from the true origins, from the true knowledge. And that is why we're doing this live stream today. So let me...
It's also in the Epic of Gilgamesh. They fashioned the friend that Gilgamesh went on the journey with. He wasn't born from a woman's womb. They created him. They created him an artificial being to go on this journey in the Epic of Gilgamesh. So they used that phrase several times in the tablets. But they said, no, wait. It was almost like that's not a good idea, because in some ways it seems as if they had known that the idea of making these too many artificially created people wouldn't be a good idea. Now, they didn't go deeper than that, but you can see where we are today with AI and everything else, and these robots that are coming. Maybe they knew something about that. It's also in the Epic of Gilgamesh. They fashioned the friend that Gilgamesh went on the journey with. He wasn't born from a woman's womb.
And that is an interesting story as well. I'll play this video.
I know in some of the WikiLeaks dumps, they said Hillary Clinton was talking about the tomb of Gilgamesh. And so if like...
you mentioned that. Didn't you say Bush was looking for it too or something?
Well, they were saying the timing of the invasion, like mostly even Desert Storm, and then like the second one, they're very coincidental. Like there was these big finds, archaeological finds of like cuneiform tablets from like where Iraq was basically where like the Tower of Babel and everything was. So they find these things and all of a sudden there's this invasion force. Strategically, when we went into Iraq the second time, obviously besides the fact that it was such a botched thing, it made no sense that we went in there, instead of destroying their army, we did like a beeline to Baghdad. Basically, the museum in Baghdad got looted. Even one of our generals said the people, it was like an inside job. People knew what they were looking for because they left a lot of the fake stuff. Like what did they find? So if you think about it, like the tomb of Gilgamesh, the mythology is about Gilgamesh. He was like 17 feet tall. If they thought they found his tomb, my question would be, well, how big was it?
Oh my God. So I just told you, has showed you how Hillary Clinton, the evil woman who starts all the wars, she invaded Iraq because she was talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh. And it is known that they wanted to go to Baghdad, and in the middle of the way, they just detoured and went to this other place where they found these scrolls and these tablets and all this ancient knowledge. And that shows you that some people today even know the truth. Maybe they're like very powerful people and they don't want that truth to come out. But they also know the mysteries and wonders. And they actually don't believe that much on what you could say evolution and the logical explanation that all the scientists are giving. And
I know in some of the WikiLeaks,
even when the last video that I was showing you of Billy Carlson, he's telling you that in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's also written that there was artificial insemination because the Gilgamesh wasn't created by the seed of a human. It was like some uplifting. Uplifting is this concept to uplift a monkey into a human, to make a species more intelligent. And that is the forefront of DNA, of medical research.
What happened in the
today.
Epic of Gilgamesh?
And how amazing is that even in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a 5,000-year-old tablet, you still see what is going on. And it is late in the night. We still have like 3 people watching us. And let's just quickly read our comments and then oh my God, there's too many comments. And then we'll go towards the end of our live stream. And so where are we? Faith and repentance. 12 hours isn't a real fast. Hey Junaid, Asma is saying, hey Junaid, I just came here to listen and watch something new. But all you're bombarding me is questions and frying my brain. So yeah, as today Asma is answering the questions to Junaid. Junaid is saying, according to Islam, God sent prophets to all nations, so similar stories can appear. But in Quran, the final source of truth. But the Quran is the final source of truth. Yes, it is. Fezzi Dandy is saying, what if the ark was a boat, but a symbol of surviving a spiritual retest? Yes, Fezzi, you could be right, but according to Islam and according to all the other texts, it's not just a symbol, it is also a vessel that carried the DNA and the animals and the humans through this time when there was this great cataclysm, this great flood that wiped out the whole of world. And Asma is saying, we just noticed how focused you were while listening, so we thought your patience wouldn't be worth hearing to. After all, learning goes both ways. Thank you. So that was Junaid. And Nimra is saying, can't lie, this is one of the most thought-provoking topics I've heard lately. And Sophia Williams is here. She's saying, hey, Willy Wonders. Thank you, Sophia, for being here. And Iman is saying, hello, love you. Love you too, Iman. And thank you for joining our live stream. There are like a lot of people today watching our live stream. So Sophia Williams says, today is my first time on your channel. My classmate who I already spoke to in years sent me your channel link. Thanks to your channel, I've reconnected with an old friend after so long. Love. I'm so happy, Sophia, that because of our live stream, you could reconnect with your friend. And thank you for being here, watching our live stream, because it matters a lot for us and for all the other people as well. Please do like, share, and subscribe as much as possible so we can spread our word and we can keep on doing what we do the best. So Sophia is saying, I'm from Saudi Arabia and just arrived in Pakistan recently. So I'm able to watch this channel here. It's really interesting, dear. Thank you. Thank you. And we're glad that you're back in Pakistan. And Nimra is saying, the Quran provides guidance in what it shares, but we can explore such stories purely from a historical perspective without letting it confuse our beliefs. Yes, Nimra is actually right, and I also want to give the Islamic perspective as well. I'll give that as well. So Nimra is saying, great point. History is fine to study, but the Quran gives me real guidance. Yeah. Because when we are reading the Book of Enoch or the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Dead Sea Scrolls, we have to take them with a grain of salt, because a lot of these stories have been altered and they have been changed according to what people thought and what people's beliefs were. And these books are really altered and it's not the same anymore. So yeah, we can't really believe, but we know that Quran, our holy book, has never been altered, and God himself has taken this responsibility to protect Quran from any sort of adulteration, and we can believe what Islam is saying is the right thing. Although that is my perspective, but still when you see that the Book of Enoch is also mentioning Turkey and Ararat and all these places where the Ark had his final resting place, and now we're finding evidence. And I mean, some of the things are adulterated, but a lot of facts are repeated over and over through these different scriptures and these different tablets and these different scrolls. So one has to wonder, and it really emphasizes Islam, and it proves that Islam is right, because when a lot of other religions are also talking about the same thing, it must have been true. Like, how can a person who's living thousands of years, like the Sumerian tablets, which are 5,000 years old, they're talking about Anunnaki and about uplifting and about this great story about the flood that came and wiped out. And then there's this other culture which is talking about, and they're so far apart in time and in space, and they're talking about the same thing. And then Islam comes and it talks about the same thing, about the same place, about the same mountain where the boat ended. So it's like such a fascinating story that one wants to believe that all of these things are true. So Nadeem Bhatt is saying, yes, the story of Prophet Nuh is a universal message. Allah mentioned it multiple times in the Quran to remind future generations of consequences of arrogance, denial, and ignoring divine guidance. Thank you, Nadeem Bhatt. Yes, you're right. And the message of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam is like is like universal, and it is a very nice message. Also, the fact that some of the people that are living today, they say that I'm a Sayyid and God has forgiven me. But with the story of Nuh, the moral of the story is that even if you're the son of the prophet, if you are doing shirk, if you're going against God, then you will not be forgiven. You will be punished at the day of judgment. And how will you enter Jannah or how will you enter heaven? It's not on who your father was or how much money do you have. It's purely upon the deeds that you do in this world. And that's a fascinating story to hear as well. So Asma Wahab is saying, I respect your views, but as a Muslim, I don't believe Noah's story in the Quran is fact, not just legend. I've watched this movie too. Fezzi Dandy is saying. Momna Vaid is saying, science is still waiting theories about flood, but the Quran turned it into a timeless lesson. And Maheen is saying, many Hollywood movies and documentaries also explore Noah's Ark, like Noah 2024, which shows how the story is rooted in a human culture. Science explains, Nimra is saying, science explains Karati hai, how the flood happened. Quran remind karta hai why it happened. That is interesting, and that is very true, Nimra. And thank you for such a nice comment. And Sophia is saying, I understand how important your faith is to you, and I'm only here to respect your conversation. So, and Sana is saying goodbye, and bye everyone. I feel sleepy because today I'm not well. So thank you, Sana, and thank you for being here, even though it's the middle of the night and it's like 3 o'clock in the night. We've been going on this live stream for such a long while now, talking about all these great mythical stories and about the deep sea scrolls and about fallen angels. And let's just watch a few more videos, 1 or 2 videos, and then we'll end our live stream, and hopefully we'll do another great mysteries very soon.
The Book of Enoch may be telling the truth. We've been told that the Book of Enoch was removed from the Bible in the 4th century because it was inaccurate to the original scriptures. But what if that wasn't the case? What if it was removed because it told the truth about humanity? Well, the book describes how a group of angels known as the Watchers rebelled against God and began teaching humans things they weren't supposed to know, like astrology and developing weapons of mass destruction. They also began laying with human women, which resulted in the birth of the Nephilim. Thus, some claim that the book was fabricated. What do you think? The Book of Enoch may be telling the truth.
This angel is worse than Satan, the Book of Enoch explained. A group of fallen angels known as the Watchers, and what they did will shock you. I'll explain the worst of these angels at the end of the video, so stay until the end. There are 200 of these angels that fell, and here are a few of their names: Samyaza, Azazel, Amaros, Arakel, and Barakel. Now let me explain why these angels are so bad. Azazel taught mankind how to make weapons for war. This act alone resulted in chaos, even still to this day. But it gets far worse. The leader of these angels, Samyaza, is far worse than Satan himself. Here's why. Not only was Samyaza the one responsible for leading every fallen angel to sin, he also led a series of experiments with the other fallen angels. They created a series of twisted, disfigured beings with human DNA and animal DNA. This angel is worse than Satan.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And with that, today we talked about like the story, these amazing stories about the Great Flood and about the fallen angels. And yeah, the last 2 videos that I showed you, is about really about the uplifting and how there was this new species. And yes, also in Quran it is also mentioned that when Hazrat Nuh was building the ship, might not be in Quran, but in Islamic literature it is written that there was this giant that Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, he told him to help him build this ship. But this guy he needed a lot of food all the time, and he was never satisfied. He was always hungry. And Hazrat Nuh said that before, he just had 2 pieces of bread, and Hazrat Nuh said, before you start eating, pray to God and say that you are thankful to God. And he just ate like 2 pieces of bread, and he was full. And he was like, never in my life have I been full, and I've been eating so much. And it's the first time that I'm thanking God before I'm starting my meal. And now, even with these 2 loaves of bread, I feel like I'm full. And then he helped Hazrat Nuh create this great ark. And this guy was also like a lot of 40 feet tall. It's said that Hazrat Nuh also lived like 900 plus years. That is mentioned in Quran as well, because people who lived thousands of years ago really did live for a long while. So with that, it's almost 3 o'clock in the night. There's like 6 people still watching us. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone who has watched our live stream today. It was me talking about a lot of stuff. I don't know if it was a little boring today. I mean, the stories were really interesting and mind-boggling on the history of humanity and how it was written and how it was preserved and how we rediscovered it. And it's just such an amazing story. And but I would feel appreciated if you guys have any suggestions. If you didn't understand the story exactly, if it was too here and there, maybe next time we can improve on our delivery and our live streams. But nonetheless, it was like such an amazing story. And to all my viewers who are watching from anywhere, I hope you're all safe, and I wish you the best. And it's such a wonderful time doing these live streams, and also for all the people, because I was seeing the stats for my channel. A lot of people who are watching our live streams are not subscribed to us. So please do subscribe. To all the people who are liking, commenting, please do subscribe as well, so that we can continue what we love to do, and we can continue providing you with all the mysteries. So with that, I would like to end this live stream and say bye-bye to all of the people. And we'll come up with a brand new episode tomorrow. And it's going to be such a big mystery that you're going to just forget everything else. So with that, take care. Bye-bye.